Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jason Delaney. I am the ServiceNow manager for OIT. And thank you for coming to our presentation. As you can see, it's for digital workflows in ServiceNow. It's basically a way for us to show you how we can help individual business units or campus departments with their workflow needs, be it automated or not. Sometimes you have great processes that sometimes have a lot of loose cracks that can help you out, put in a consolidated system, and sometimes you don't have any tracking purposes, and that's where ServiceNow really can shine and really help you elevate that. Okay, so the real thing that we're trying to fix is, as you can see, that the process is not working. So this is a lot of times when we reach out to other departments, they go, my process really doesn't actually work for our internal users. And that is being relayed to our customers because they feel that there is this broken process going on in the background, right? I don't know if I'm supposed to talk to employee A, colleague B. I do know when I talk to colleague B, but he's out. Who's working on it? These are the kind of questions that happen a lot of times, especially when you work with email as departments, right? Who is accountable for what? Who's responded? Or a customer will respond to an email that's 2 weeks old, and that's not the latest thread, and things get lost in transition, right? Or you might have a legacy system. Maybe you actually do have the system you're using, but this legacy system has been 10 years old, 12 years old. It's just not really meeting the mark that you're looking for, or it's not quickly adaptable to your needs anymore. And then, unfortunately, there are people on the paperless process where, again, you might send faxes in, and that's your primary way of doing business. Those also can get lost in translation as you're doing stuff. So this is what we're trying to solve for you guys. Go ahead, next slide. And so what we do is we're leveraging ServiceNow's platform. So OIT has an enterprise license for ServiceNow. It's a very robust platform. And on this platform, we're able to build work management tools for everybody. And by using our recharge service, we're able to leverage that enterprise licensing at a cheaper rate for everybody across campus. So instead of you guys getting your own individual contracts for that and paying the stated price, you get what we pay for, which is a much reduced price in that matter. And then some of the things that we can do is improve the overall experience that your customers will have because you're on this platform. They're already familiar with ServiceNow, using ServiceNow for OIT, right? Accessing our services. You'll give them the same kind of service back to your customers, and it's very seamless for them. Right? So going into the platform itself, so you're asking, well, what exactly you're going to give us, right? So we gave you a custom application by leveraging these different areas on the platform. And one of the main things is when you don't have something that can track your work or show accountability or transparency, you don't have a good enough reporting mechanisms. You don't have a way to show what your department is actually producing, what you're actually doing. You don't have a good mechanism to speak to your senior management team to say, hey, these are the issues that are coming in. You might need to do X, Y, and Z to solve those things because there's no reporting there, right? You just say, we got 1,000 emails in the last week. What are those emails? Some of them are applicant specific or some are how-tos, you don't really know. But in ServiceNow, once you fill out a form, right, or the customer fills out a form, however you guys want to set it up, you have that data point that you can actually say, this is what came in. So as an example, we are actually live with Grad Division. And Grad Division, when they launched Slate, which is their graduate application for grads, they needed a way to track all the different kind of things that would come in. They had no clue what was incoming because Slate's brand new. So we created this application from the zero to track who's calling in applicants, faculty, or staff. A bunch of different metadata that they're looking for to be able to report this back to their senior management team. Look, this is what we're expecting on a quarter-to-quarter basis or month-to-month basis now because we actually have data to track that. You know that? So this one's shared user or asset data. This one's important because if you're on our platform, OIT has a lot of integrations to a lot of different user databases, one being Campus Directory. So a big problem that you would have if you implemented your own system or if you don't have a system is you don't necessarily know contact information, UCNet IDs, all that's you're managing separately, right? Well, in ServiceNow, and since you're on a platform, you would have access to that. So whatever's in Campus Directory, you will actually have access to that information. So it's less likely to lose that information from a customer contact point of view. And you can also start grouping things based on customer data, right? So you can say all these people inside the grad division are calling for this facility type issue, right? Maybe we can essentially have to train them on that instantly. So that's the more an example. So ServiceNow also provides a knowledge base or architecture for knowledge base. So this is another great way to promote collaboration or sharing of knowledge within the platform. So right from your record or your form, you can access the knowledge base based on a search. And then say if you actually had written one for how to, that could be one of the first things that are displayed. And then whoever new comes in can see like, oh, we already have information on this. I could read it and then relay that back to the customer, while actually having to ask another employee all these different questions. So OIT does a lot of things around knowledge here as well, and we do this a lot in the help desk. This is one of our main things. So if you call in for help desk, I have a problem with Duo or whatnot, a lot of our students, as you know, they don't get to work 40 hours a week, so they need to be able to find knowledge quickly. This is how we enable them to do that. They go ahead and do a search, they get you the information, help you on your way. That's another way to promote knowledge sharing instead of always having face-to-face interactions with your colleagues or transferring that record or a call to another colleague. Self-service portal. So self-service portal, so I'll just do a little promo right now. OIT has a new, brand new looking self-service portal, so if you haven't checked it out, please come see me, I can help you check that out. But in your custom application, we can also tie in self-service forms to be branched off our OIT self-service portal, branch off your existing department web pages, because a lot of you have your own department web pages. We can give you a direct link to the forms. And then you can also have them search here. So again, if a customer gets confused and they're not knowing where to search and they come to our portal, they can come search here. And in some larger implementations, we could actually make another portal page that handles all your self-service forms if you have a lot of them, and if that's something you need. An example is that HR, Stephen Winston, so People Services, they're actually implementing an HR application, and they have their own portal page that they'll be linking to. So if you haven't stopped by their booth, that's a great thing to look at because it's really important. Notifications. So this is the automated notifications that we have. You can have automated, and you can also set up templates for manual notifications. And what the screen that we're showing right here is, this can be customizable based on your own user preferences. So I can set up like 100 notifications for your department, and say 3 people in your department don't ever interact with 97 of the things that you guys do there, right? They can actually turn those notifications off, reduce noise in their mailbox, and only see the things that are important to them. That makes sense, right? So that's really a nice feature that ServiceNow has. And again, anything that's on a form, we can put in an automated notification for you guys. So if you say, I want to send something to the customer that says, what my metadata for notes are and what my assignment group was and what my priority was, we can put that in a notification for them, and they'll get that automatically. You don't have to do anything. If you want manual notifications that also track with ServiceNow, that's also something you can do. You can click a button that says you know the client, and then you can type in your message, and that's a more formalized one, and you can say what data that you want in there, and you can send that to them. Or you can do an informal one, which is a lot of the communications that are going on right now across departments is we have this concept of additional comments, and when you type anything in there, that gets an automated message based on what you type in that box to the customer. So it's very flexible. You can CC people. You can also add your boss as that person that's watching the records, so they'll get notices to the customer. It's highly customizable to your individual needs. And lastly, but not least, this is probably the most important thing that ServiceNow does, other than giving you forms, is the workflows, SLAs, and approval track. I put it all in one area because it kind of does the same thing, but you can see you can put in a program logic behind the process if it's documented, and then automate that. So an example is that in OIT, we order laptops quite frequently. People say, I need a new laptop, I need a new access control, or whatever they're looking for, right? When they do that and you fill out that form, there's an automated process that goes behind that. So if myself and Ryan are working on an issue to create a laptop, right, and you put it in, I might get the first step that says, hey, I need to check, do we have funds to procure your laptop? Is it approved, right? Once those are going through, and I do my task, I close it, update my notes, he now gets a task inside his queue that says, please deploy the laptop to the customer with whatever profile settings are standard to OIT at the moment. It's really important to understand that we can take a manual process, automate it, and cut it down, and also reduce the noise that you will see So you don't have to manage every single step of the process if you're not supposed to manage every single step of the process. So you're getting people to do the work that they're supposed to do and focus on that, and then collaborate outside of that if you want to do process improvement, right? Instead of always being a part of every single step. You don't necessarily need to do that. So then the big question is, well, how does this really work? So the big box in the middle is kind of us, ServiceNow and UCI. So IT is over here, right? We have HR coming on with their implementation. And then everybody in the middle is all the recharge or custom application work that we would do for you guys. You guys would live on the same platform, but able to do all those capabilities down below. No different than the way OIT does. And that's the real key thing I want to stress there. You're getting our knowledge, our experience, our development skills to build your custom application that takes a very short amount of time to deploy. Another example of that is we just worked with student government. We were given 4 weeks to do something for them, and we were able to accomplish that in 4 weeks of a rollout for them with the requirements. So it doesn't take a long time to get these things out. The most important thing is understanding that we can transform your manual process to automated ones, or at least something where you can track and then report on that day. So with that, I would like to ask if you have any questions. Yep.
Do you have to go through OIT to do the development, or can that be done in your own unit? And I missed the very first part, so I wasn't sure what the cost is to be able to utilize this.
Yeah, so the first question is, do you have to go to OIT for development? Yes, we do, because right now we're a shared platform, right? This is a service that OIT, we're basically leveraging our services to provide services back to you guys at a cheaper cost. So you guys don't have to do this on your own. So yes, you have to do that. In certain rare cases, we could discuss about maybe having some administration work outside, but development would be in-house. So administration and development are kind of different. So administration of the application, like maybe configuring like a field or two, could be something done outside of my team. And for the actual recharge rates, it is $63 per name license a month, and then $86 an hour for the development hours. So as an example of this, what we did for student government, we quoted them 40 hours. So in 1 year, they're only spending about $12,000 for their licenses and implementation. And the second year, they would only pay for any new development from a team and the licensing for it. So I think the licensing for them would be around $6,000 a year. So if you put it from an FTE point of view, if you're going to pay an FTE to do this, it would take like 6, 7, 8 years before you're in the FTE price for 1 year, right? So it's kind of where we're trying to be as low as possible, provide you that best service.
Because the cost per license that you mentioned, is that for technicians who are actually working on tickets in ServiceNow, or for people who are putting requests?
Great question. I should have clarified that. It's only people actually working within an application. If you have 20,000 customers that are inputting self-service forms, they don't cost you anything extra for that. Or again, they email you, can make an integration for email, and they don't even have to fill out the form. They just email your department, and we can also take that and make a record for you guys.
You said 63 per month per user?
You're correct. And we have, I don't have it on here, but it is on the OIT Recharge website. So if you go OIT, I think it's OIT.edu.
Yes.
Yes, and you type in Recharge in the search, it's listed there as well. Chief first.
Really quick, I was just wondering, what's your availability to schedule work on these things? Do you have a year out?
Yeah, so our availability, so how we do it right now is based on your interests. We do a preliminary estimate of work, for the work based on your requirements, and then from there we schedule you on that. So if we're looking near term in the next 3 months, we do have some availability, but if it's a large implementation, it'll probably be a little further out. So it really depends how large implementation requirements will be, but it's definitely something we would discuss during the estimate of local effort.
The question about the email, so there's currently a process where everyone's going to an email inbox. You're saying that ServiceNow could be implemented kind of in tandem with that, so people would still use the email inbox, but then it would create the ticket?
No, so, well, in best practices world, we would ask you to take that email and then point it to ServiceNow. So if it's like help@uci.edu, we would take that email, when anyone emails that email, it will send that email to ServiceNow, and the ServiceNow, based on some logic that we would build, will create a record for you. So it'll copy over the user name and things like that. If they're using an ID, it will populate that for you. If they're not, they'll add it to the watch list, which you can still communicate to that. So it's kind of an implementation detail program. Any other questions?
Can departments configure their own workflow?
So that's kind of the question that she had. Yes and no. So there are some parts of the workflow that's strictly development. So there's this thing called scope cross application. I know that might be a little bit too much technical jargon, but this application is built on the platform. So anything that's a global, we mean to affect everybody, including all the other tenants, then that'd be something that team has to do. Because we have to validate, test, to make sure that that change doesn't affect anybody else negatively. But if it's something just for you guys, we could definitely open to that possibility. Well, if you guys have no other questions, I will remain in the room for a little bit if you have anything in particular. If not, you can also visit booth 36, and we could run you through an application we built just for TechnoExpo to kind of show you the flexibility we have and the way you can just deploy these things. And even on demand, if you say, hey, Jason, I want to see a new field, we can just do that for you to kind of show you how easy this is that we can deploy things for you at a quick pace. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.